Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Outer Realm Radio. Right? A little bit something different right there. We're broadcasting live via International Public Radio right here on United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. This evening's segment is fully sponsored by the amazing folks over at Folgers Coffee. Thank you, Folgers. We love you. I know we just can't tell you enough. So tonight, Amelia and I think we've lost our freaking minds. Okay.
Oh, hell yes.
And we've agreed somehow, I don't even know how, to allow our friend and producer, Joe Montaldo, to take over the show. Well, the segment anyway. And to put us in the hot seats, which means we're not in the driver's seat tonight. So you're going to have to brace yourselves for a complete segment, which is totally unplugged. And the questions come basically from you, the public, and I'm sure he's got some up his sleeve. But in order to participate in tonight's show, you have to head over, of course, to the main YouTube page. Get in chat over there at UFO Paranormal Radio Network. You'll probably catch it on International Public Radio, UFO Gods, Extraterrestrials, Twitch, YouTube, and of course, the different network Facebook pages, and I can't remember those. Honestly, we're probably at 8 different places simultaneously. So I would think it's just best to grab yourself a little sit down, have a little drink, preferably a Folgers, right? See what I did there? And and kind of get ready, because we don't really, it's hard not being in control, because we don't really know what's going to happen. Normally we know what's going to happen. We know our guests, we know what we're going to ask, we know what they're all about, and we know what Joe's all about. We're scared.
Which makes it scary.
We're a bit
Which
scared.
makes it scary, because if you hear the questions he asks us after the show.
Yeah. See, right there. Oh shit, there he is. I'm kind of hoping you wouldn't show up.
Oh,
damn.
By the way, Folgers in my cup.
Help me, Jesus. Help me, Jesus, tonight.
Black silk Folgers.
Cup too.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have.
Help
Oh,
me,
you know what? I need to
Jesus.
give
I
me a
got mine right
Folgers
behind
cup
me.
too. I need
Right there.
Folgers, y'all need to send me a damn cup while y'all listening tonight.
Well, shit, I should. Maybe.
So
You just
I don't
kind
know
of
if you're
spun this
calling
on
or
us to
not,
torture
so
us.
The guy who's in charge of y'all sponsor is listening tonight.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
We love you.
I called him and
We
told him
love
to
him
listen and
muchly.
torture y'all tonight.
Yeah.
See, right there.
I said, since you pay so well, let's torture the girls tonight.
What the hell is that about? I'd like to know. What the freaking heck? I saw something come up in the feed saying, oh yeah, he's going to sit there and just like make this all evil. I'm like, what? We're going to be ready for you, bucko, for sure.
I can't say my favorite host, because if I do, I'll get in trouble. But anyway,
Yeah, but we all know that we are.
Y'all are my favorite list of hosts. That's how we say that. And no, John Goodwin is my favorite host. Now let's not get carried away.
Yes, we love John
If y'all
and
know who
Emily
John
as well.
is, John. Yeah. Well, Emily's not a host, but I love Emily anyway. I can't wait to torture, because she's gonna be working her ass off. Well, as long as COVID don't wipe her out, she'll be working her ass off at this gala event. I'm gonna be like, I'll be staring at her going, take a picture. I can see her now. Because she's gonna be busy.
Wow.
I mean, I won't harass her, because I know she's gonna be busy. She's in charge of the whole damn thing, so it ought to be fun though. Coffee's great there, Janie. Get your cup. Let's see.
Yeah, it says some Folgers, Janie.
She's so amazing with us.
Hi,
Zachman.
By the way,
Hi, Wayne.
This is 2 of our
Hi,
sponsors.
Pauline.
This is Folgers coffee with
Hi,
ice cream creamer from Carnation. Oh shit, it's fabulous. They got sweet cream ice. Oh man, I wouldn't even talk about that.
I'm sorry, with what?
Sweet cream. It's called this is actually called ice cream creamer.
All we need to know is there's Folgers in your cup.
That's it.
all we need to
We
know.
got 2 sponsors.
We
We gotta
don't-
be nice to the other sponsor.
Yeah,
I got a sponsor that sponsors me whatever I'm doing, so I gotta be nice to
Oh, it's your sponsor.
Yes,
all right. That's right. We keep forgetting that this is your bit tonight.
That's right.
It's my sponsors with us.
All right.
Well,
why
have
we
It's
fun
want-
already
with our-
starting, people. He's being
so,
bossy.
so,
Have fun with our chat room, Joe.
no, we don't leave the chat room. No, the chat room's fun. The chat room, if y'all got anything personal y'all would like to know about the ladies tonight, don't ask. Anyway, moving on.
Uh-oh.
So
Uh-oh.
of course, y'all know Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. You know, they've been around for a little while now, a couple of weeks or so. And y'all should know for the radio station for at least a couple of weeks. And they were on FM
A
up in
year.
wherever the hell they live up there in the north.
We're
You
really
know,
not north, though. Did you not
you are
catch?
for me.
Did you not? For you, we are. But did you not catch my map on Facebook that we're
Yes, I did.
actually more southern than most of
Yeah,
your states?
for where you are, you're southern,
Yes.
but from where I'm
Yes.
at, you northern.
No,
I mean,
we
we're
are.
talking,
Yes.
we're talking to like ice cap places. I mean, we don't even see snow like that. Y'all still got cool weather in the summertime. We're like, please let us fly to Canada. Which, by the way, we can fly into Canada
Hi,
right now. We
Jess.
just
Yeah.
you know, it's hard to get back. So I asked a friend of mine the other day. I said, what if I fly into Canada and bring y'all home with me? I said, I'll bring y'all some American passports and I'll bring y'all home with me. And he's like, no way. You think it'd work? I said, yeah. I said, but they're going to make you quarantine when you come in the country anyway. So I was told that if I decide, well, I was told if I decide to go to Canada, that it's not a problem. I can fly in, even with whatever going crazy right now.
Well, you have a vaccine, so you're fine.
Yes, and I've had it before, so I'm double fine actually. And so yeah, they said I could come in and hang out. Don't even have to quarantine or anything.
No.
But yet, my emperor, when I come home, oh well, and I've got vaccine and no virus, I got a quarantine. I'm like, wait, what?
Does he have all his clothes?
I don't want to know if he's got all his clothes, please. Some things in the world I just don't need to know about. And that is one of them. You know, because your biggest fan today was talking about a pink short and Biden getaway. That's another thing I didn't need to have in my head. Some things people I just don't need to know about, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
Well, he kept saying, well, you know, he's cute. And I'm like, who, Joe Biden? He's like, no, the other guy, pink shorts. I said,
Oh,
okay.
I don't think so.
I said, well, I said, I don't know if he's cute or not. I don't swing that way, actually.
Used to be. I think politics ages you. It really kicks the crap out of you. It does.
Yeah, he's not.
I mean,
he's not my
character.
type at all. Yeah, he's not my type at all. I don't like him.
Mm.
And it's got nothing to do with personality. His looks are not. I don't see what other people see. You know, but.
And somebody told me they're only 3.5 hours from me. I'm not going to mention any names. I call him the Jolly Green Giant, but I'm not going to mention any names. I was giving him shit. Don't think I give y'all hell. I was giving him hell all night. And then wait, I am never watching Star Trek again. By the way, goddamn Captain Kirk. I didn't know he was a Canadian. Shame on me.
He is.
You know what amazes me, Joe, is how many Americans don't realize that your superstars are Canadian.
A lot of, well, I can deal with that part, but
yeah.
So, but you know, my other show, Wake Up, way back. By the way, ladies, when I first got started in radio, it was called Wake Up USA. This is like 20, whatever, it's 20-something years ago. And one of the intros is that the station was in 1690 Riverside, Iowa, which was the birthplace of Captain Kirk. So stupid me, I always kept in my head that they meant William Shatner. No, they meant Captain Kirk. Because William Shatner's a Canuck, man. I was like, oh my God.
He is.
Yes, he is.
Still, he's one of sexy beast, man. So I can't hate on him.
So's Donald Sutherland.
And then somebody told me, and this is part of the thing tonight, that they don't have real men in Canada. And I said, hence why they keep them in cages. I'm not going to say who said that.
I think you're the only one laughing right now.
I'm pretty sure we're the ones that have the lumberjacks, aren't we? Like
everybody got lumberjacks. Anybody who's got
lumberjacks. But I mean, we've got them even in the city.
You ever heard of Travis?
I don't know how to tell you that.
Zach Man says William Shatner got kicked out of Canada for being a jerk.
You know what? You're probably right about that. He was something else when he was young, man. He was who? I remember.
When he was younger. Right now, he's so approachable. You can go
because he loves everybody now.
You can follow him on Twitter, and he has conversations with you. He's unbelievably approachable. I've talked to him. I did an interview
with him.
Yeah.
So this was crazy. So I was doing an interview. There's a guy who I can't remember his name. Him and his friend came on the writer. They've got Star Trek episodes that pick up from when Captain Kirk left, but before the other series. And they've got 10 or 12 of them on YouTube, and they're really good. And somebody had told me, you can talk to Kirk. So I sent him to William Shatner, thinking, oh, well, he's going to probably blah, blah. Man, he wrote back to me all kinds of stuff. I said, well, wait, let me interview you. I said, but I'm not the one you need to talk to, so I'll put them together. And the other guy's like, I'm your best friend in the world now. I'm like, really? Okay, well, that's great. I'm going to need a favor one of these days. Just remember that. I collect my favors sooner or later, people, just say on that. It might take me 12, 15, 18 years, but
12, 15, 18, somewhere in between those 10.
You just never know when it might be 2 days later. But
if it's 18 in 2 days, you're free.
But if it goes more than 20 years, I probably forgot about it. So
Hi,
you're probably
Michelle.
okay.
Yeah.
So I had yesterday I had asked. Well, actually, the last couple of days doing other shows, I'd asked. I said, if y'all had anything y'all want to know about Michelle and Amelia, what would it be?
Oh gosh.
So
I'm an open book. I've been around a long
first
freaking
off,
time.
after
I'm
after getting
old.
after getting through the pervert pile, both Nick
Getting
and
through the pervert
yeah,
file.
after we got through
You
the
went through my
pervert
messenger?
yeah, well, I'm telling you what, it's like half of them are women. Now, I'm not saying just anyway, getting
Yeah.
through the pervert pile. So, and this is for both of y'all. So they wanted to know what y'all were like in your 20s. Now, unfortunately, Michelle's not going to be able to tell y'all because it's going to be X-rated, but still, or R-rated at least.
My
Now, I don't know
20s
about
were good.
Amelia.
I'll leave it
I
there.
know Amelia looks all sweet and innocent, but for some reason, I'm just not buying that.
You
So who?
might not buy it, but I mean, I met my husband when I was 21. I was engaged 2 years later, and I got married just after I turned 24. So my 20s were
Well, that's
pretty
pretty good.
boring.
I got married
Well,
when I
other
was.
than becoming a mother, that was the greatest time of my life. But
Yeah,
I
did
had a
that too.
Michelle did that too.
My first half of the 20s were just rip and roaring and traveling and
Yeah.
globe trotting. And then after that, I settled down and had my daughter at 25. That was my first one.
Now,
So,
this
Yeah,
comes.
I had a crazier life before that. I think I burned it all out before I was legal to be in a bar. I was already in one. So
I was in a
Yeah,
bar
but
yeah.
before it was
that was
legal.
Oh yeah, I
that
think
was
I was
fine for our
15 or
generation.
16 with ID, fake
If
ID at the time.
if
I
you're
just looked
X
old. I
Gen or
didn't need ID.
if you're an X
No,
Gen or a baby
I
boomer,
had
that
fake
was legal
ID.
for us. They didn't
Yeah.
care back then.
But a lot of my brother's friends were like bouncers, so I would just walk in. I wasn't a drinker, so and I still am not. So I went there just to dance. I love dancing, like just absolutely love it. I love going onto the dance floor at a wedding and not coming off until I'm completely sweating and the lights are back on. So I
did a
did
lot
all
of
of that
dancing.
before my 20s, which is
I was a
really crazy.
headbanger. There's only so many really good tunes. 80s music though was
Oh,
phenomenal.
I hated it.
I actually won dance contests. I love it. Not
Yeah.
easy though because it was a little bit of a different type of music, right? But it
I
was
hated the
still
music in the 80s. Still do.
I
My
love
daughter
it.
loves it.
I
You and my
love the
daughter.
80s. Everybody I talked to is like, oh my God, the 80s. I wish I was living in the 80s. I'm just like,
Ugh.
yeah, big hair bands, good music, good times. Loved
Scary
it.
ass looking hair.
Oh
My
yeah, it was
God,
great hair.
Aquanet.
Yeah, for some reason I don't
The
know.
Oh,
hair.
I still have really crazy long hair, but blonde.
No, I mean
I
like
was a
the
blonde,
teasing.
people.
Remember the
If
teasing? I was
Blonde,
blonde
see,
once
and I
too.
bet you she was a bitchy blonde too.
oh yeah, you go into you could find stuff in some of the shows that I've done going back as far as 2005, let's say 2006, 7. I was actually blonde. It wasn't until the later part of 2007 that I went to brunette. I mean blonde like white.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can imagine
I
you'd
did
be
it, but I
weird
only
looking
lasted 2 weeks.
Long
blonde.
time I was blonde.
My
Oh,
niece is in the
blonde.
chat room. Jessica, I'm warning you right now. Do not type
Yes,
anything.
yes. Close. Keep your ears closed. You probably need to
We're
hear
only 8.5 years apart, so she would be very, very good at remembering what the hell I did. But anyways,
Well, no, I mean, being young, you do foolish things or you have fun sometimes. I danced in competition all the time. I actually supported my wife and I for 3 years dancing,
Mm.
um, and not that kind of dance. If anybody gets any damn ideas, and I could have, but no, not that kind. And then when I wasn't doing that, I actually played darts for a few years and supported us until I decided to open my own business at least. Anyway, then it went on. But anyway, so going back to y'all. So we're back there. So now I know neither one of y'all were heavy into anything paranormal back then, but let me ask you, since when you're when you're
I
when you're out
was.
when you're
somebody didn't read the bios.
well,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, no. What I mean by that is it's a different feel because I've
Yeah.
heard Michelle speak further back and I've heard her speak now, and she's got a different attitude about it. And maybe we can pull that out of her as we go through the show. But and believe it or not, I actually sat and watched. I actually listened to you with another host. hmm About 4 shows, I think it was, and
Really?
you,
Me.
you,
Well, when you're
And
pointing, it's just like at a screen. I don't know how
oh, that's right. It is. Let me see if I can do it like
you.
this. Wait,
You
hold
see
on.
the little one, and we
There we go,
know.
like that. There we
I'm
go.
I'm psychic, but I don't know that much.
Yeah, well, you're on the bottom of the screen down there, so we're gonna do it like
Yes.
that.
Okay.
We'll do like this. Wait, no, we gotta do like
That'll
this for Michelle.
okay. Okay, that works. Yeah.
Anyway, um, it's just what I'm looking for is so when you're out doing something like you're dancing and because your brain is released when you're doing stuff like that. Whether you're drinking before anybody asks me about drugs, whatever. Hey, Darren, how you doing? I see my cousins in here. And anyway, so when you're doing all of this, did you ever feel like a contact or feel something kind of trying to talk to you, you get in, or just something out of the ordinary? I'm just curious because over the years talking to different people when they reach a certain, I hate to say ecstasy, but when they reach a certain level, a lot of times they sense and feel not just themselves but people around them or other things that are going on, or see things that they shouldn't see or stuff like that. And I know y'all are both psychic, but I don't know what age you really became super aware of it.
I don't know, something's banging
I
in
heard
the
that.
dining room, and I'm just saying there's nobody there.
I
Okay.
just I just heard that myself.
Okay.
I did too.
So
He's been
so
moving around in there all
so
night.
we'll start with the alien Emily Amelia. Oh, sorry, people.
Uh,
And the bad part is Emily and Amelia don't look nothing alike. So
no,
shame.
it's
Uh,
it's okay.
Good company though, but still.
Oh,
So
thank you.
so for you when you're whenever when you're somewhere that you don't have to be you, that you can just be relaxed or have fun or let go, what do you feel other than that ecstasy of just being free?
Wow. That is so deep, Joe. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Really, right?
Yeah, I was expecting something a lot lighter.
Mm.
When I can be just free, it's
Yeah, I
nice.
know that's hard, but
It's really hard because it's not something I get to feel often. I always feel like I'm caretaker of everybody around me, so it's different. When I can absolutely feel free, the few times that I have to say I felt like I always feel like I have my past loved ones around me. That I do, and I've always felt.
but are they like passing you any information or are they
Sometimes they're just showing up to say, "Hey, we're here. We've got
saying
you."
you shouldn't
And
be
I
doing
always
that, young
kind of
lady?
knew, but I was afraid to ask in the beginning. But
Yeah.
I felt like I wasn't from here, that I've always felt that I don't belong in this time.
Yes,
I've
that
always
picture
said
you
I'm
sent
in
me
the
proves that, but we'll talk about that
well,
later.
one picture. um, but I always felt that I'm in the like I somebody threw me in the wrong era.
Well, it's that I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna let Michelle answer because I
Yeah.
want to tell you something about that. But Michelle, don't look all innocent up there either, because I know you were not. So,
No, I am much like Amelia in that sense, and I've grown up around a lot of people who are same. That's my son, who apparently doesn't realize I have a show right now.
I love to see
That's
that,
what
Mom.
happens. That's what
I
happens
don't
when
take
you
What's
put.
time
going
to
on?
reflect.
I
I'm
That's
like
what
just
that
happens.
ringer.
That's what happens when you put them on
uh,
bypass.
Yes.
I'm on air right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
make sure it's nothing important because we don't want
Uh,
nothing happening to no
well,
children.
somebody would have to almost be freaking dying at this point.
There you go.
Um, yeah, it's always feeling a sense of not belonging here, not quite fitting in. Yet I was popular in school. I had a lot of friends, but even now I have a lot of acquaintances. I prefer to keep my circles very, very small. I'm really, really particular about that. I've always been able to not tune in. So if I need downtime, I could just take the downtime. It took me a long time, though, to realize I could switch on and off. But unlike a lot of people, I actually enjoy having, um, spirits around me. I travel. I want to be at a haunted location. I want to be in an old location. That's where my comfort zone is.
Now y'all know why I call it Elvira of Canada. Um, not just because she looks like it, because she got the same bad habits. Um, I got friends who love to do that. Anywhere they can go that might be scary, hairy, whatever it may be, they want to sleep there. And I remember a friend of mine said, "We're going to go stay in this castle." I said, "Well, good, have a good time." He said, "You're not coming?" I said, "Hell no, I'm going to stay up at the window." I'm sweet. I said,
Yeah.
I got room service coming. I said, "Y'all just send me some videos."
Yeah.
So I said, "I'll go ahead and hook up the laptop and y'all can feed in and I'll watch and have a good time and y'all have a good time and we'll all have a good time." And it's not that I don't go to haunted places. It's just sometimes I would rather let somebody else do it. Now, for both of y'all, I can understand that feeling of maybe not being in the right place or the right time, and it's weird because I ask people a lot of times, do they feel like, and for y'all too, do you feel like you're living in a time you should be living in? A lot of people tell me they should be in the past. A lot of people tell me you should be in the future. A lot of people feel comfortable in the now. Depends what day you ask me. Some days I'm real comfortable in now. Other days I'm like, no, I'm from the future. Y'all screwed me over. So, because I just know things that I shouldn't. And that's another interesting thing that we'll touch on. We talk about people all the time with psychic abilities, but if people had the ability to time travel and come back, like Michelle and I we talk about slips all the time on the last couple of shows on the Gray Zone Uncensored, by the way, might as well get the whole plug in there. Um, that could be it for people that are psychic too. They could be slipping forward and seeing the event and come bringing it back with them.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna let y'all answer them. But it's John, if you're listening, John Goodwin, I'll give you your numbers. I told him earlier I was going to give him his numbers. I forgot. He's another host, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry. We do a lot of stuff on Wednesdays. We have a lot going on. But so, ladies,
Yes, Joe.
I didn't get the question.
What? Did we totally
I
miss
thought
that?
it,
Or
I
like,
thought
weren't
it was
paying
just
attention.
me. I thought it
oh,
was just me.
Anyway,
was there a question in all of that?
yes, there was. So
Okay.
what I asked you in the very beginning is do you feel like that you're in the right time, that you're in the right moment, the right space, the right
Mm.
area? I don't want to say soul because we attach them and carry them with us. So, um, but it's important because when I ask normal people, like my cousin Darren up there, I said, "Darren, do you feel like you're in the right time?" He'd say yes. And by the way, he's a detective on one of the police departments, so y'all don't harass him. Come kick y'all's ass. But still, because it's an important question because when we're doing research, other types of research, it's one of the questions that we ask: do you feel like you belong right here and right now? Or have you felt like this your entire life? Because we all have longer lives, so it comes to a point where did you feel like in your 20s you belonged there, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s? I can actually tell you, and I'll let y'all answer this after. My entire life, I felt out of context to where I am in life today. So, what do y'all think? Do y'all feel comfortable in your life? That's the wrong question. Do you feel like you belong where you are now, or in your past, or do you feel like you're slightly out of cue?
I think like-minded people who feel like that end up in the same circles. I mean, Amelia and I are very like-minded in many ways, and we've talked about this before. I think what we do, because you do feel like you don't belong here, so you just sort of exist. You don't really live. I mean, you live. I've tried. I think I've lived my life pretty much to the fullest. We get sidetracked, and we sort of sometimes you look at those sidetracks as being deliberate, people sidetracking you in your life to get you off your path. But for me, I really feel like it's just more of, in a lot of ways, a form of existing.
I have to agree with you on that. I mean, of course, I agree with you. We finish each other's we
Yes,
finish
I
each
know.
other's thoughts and
Yes, you know
sentences
about things,
sometimes.
I know.
Um,
It's true.
seriously, I've never felt enough, and I've felt too much. If that makes any
It
sense,
does.
I've never felt comfortable talking about what I went through and what I was feeling. Um, I was very popular in school, and I don't know how because I still have my friends on Facebook from high school, and I've really blanked out on a lot of those years because in a span of 10 months I attempted suicide twice. So I block a lot of that out, and a lot of that was because I didn't understand what I was going through, and I was told to that I would be in a straitjacket if I talked about it. So I still go through a lot because of that. I don't want Joe's going to be Barbara Walters and make me cry. Um, I still feel like I'm too much, and I would always blame it on something else. I would always say, "Oh, I changed schools twice. That's why." I never got to really settle in and really get to know anyone, and I couldn't really feel comfortable saying anything. And I always made up excuses. I moved from Toronto to Stony Creek when I got married. Oh, I didn't make friends till almost like 13 years in. Um, I really miss home. Like, but it's so weird when I go home, I don't feel like it's home. Does that make sense? Like, I
No,
don't know.
no, it
Does
doesn't.
I
I
anywhere
agree.
feel like it's home though for people like us? You too, Joe.
yeah,
The
I
three of us, like,
Home is where I'm at. I mean, that's really comes down to with the people I care about.
right.
As long as
It's
I'm
the
with the people
people
I care
though.
about and where I'm at, doesn't the destination's not as important for my home is just the way I feel about it. That's the
for
only way I
Exactly.
can really explain
for
it.
me
Exactly.
it was so difficult to leave home. I mean, I went from my parents' house to my house, and it was so difficult to leave. Um, I don't know, like I have to find familiar places, and I don't have history here. And
Yeah,
that's the
see?
problem. But yet I've been to Mexico on vacation, and I felt like I was home. And there you go, Joe. That was like one time that I just freaking released like
It's part of
everything.
that journey.
Yeah.
Everywhere I've traveled in my life, literally every place that I've traveled overseas, I have had a connection to.
Yeah.
I went there and I was drawn there for a reason, and I connected once I arrived there. I felt, no, this feels right. Not even knowing why it felt right, just the
Maybe in
fact
past
that it
life.
Yeah, you just
feels right. Exactly.
I
You leave a part of yourself there, or maybe you're going back and retrieving that part of yourself,
oh, I would hope
connecting
so,
with
because
that part of yourself.
I'm
Or,
dying to
or,
go to, see, I said back, and I've never been. I'm
Mm.
dying to go to Scotland, and
And
I've
I've
said,
been.
and I say
Yeah,
back all the
and I've
time, and
been.
I've never been there, and it's like, why do
Strong
you keep
connections
saying
there.
oh, you've
back
been
to
there good enough
Scotland?
watching Outlander. We're not even going to talk about that. You've been
Well,
there just plenty
It's a good
enough.
show.
yeah, but you know what's funny is
Perverts. I'm just kidding. Perverts all around me.
I
Mm.
really
I'm just
feel
kidding,
like
guys.
my time is between the 11 and 1200s for me. Anyways, that's where I feel if I could go back, I would want to go there. And I feel
Well,
like I might feel the
you can
most
test that.
comfortable. Yeah, I would
You
love
can
to.
well, you can test that. You can test that in South America, and you can test that in Europe by going to the right destinations.
Yeah.
There are
I've
still
tested
places.
that many times. Yeah.
Yes, fortunately or unfortunately, it depends on the people who how they want to look at it. But there are places on the planet you can test. But the problem is you can't test if you're from the future. There's no way of
Mm.
testing that.
No, I
There is actually
understand
one
that.
way of testing that is it by the information you have in your head. Um, Sometimes you'll have information that simply doesn't belong in this time frame, or things you'll hear or find out or understand that you're like, or things that you realize when you were a kid that came to pass later in your life in your 30s or 40s or something. You're like, wait, what? Okay, it's just sometimes you see things as we travel along the road, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, when you have psychic abilities, sometimes you may travel a little forward, you may travel a little backwards, you might just be flattening along the line. But those little pieces you see as you go along, your mind keeps. So when you look at places, in certain destinations will set the feelings off. They'll just trigger
Mm.
Oh
them.
yeah, just looking at photographs,
But you,
there's times where I look at a photograph of a destination, and like Jerusalem during the times of Christ, and I look at those and I could see myself there. So,
Mm.
and I don't mean to sound cliche, but I'm positive I was somehow at that crucifixion,
you might
So
have been. There
like,
was a lot of people there.
yeah, it's just bizarre. But
It
I
anyways,
was.
think you always have that urge too to just like I can only use myself as an example. All of my surroundings are very medieval with very medieval pieces or pieces that I mean, that go back, like hundreds of years. And that's where I feel that if I can't go back, then I feel like I can still put myself there and have these things around me. They comfort me somehow, not because they're things, but because they're assisting. Like I don't attach to things. Like you evolve from that, but because they make me feel like I'm back in that place that I'm missing, somehow filling in. If that
I
makes sense.
I wish I had that. I love that you have that, and I'm so happy for you because I adore you.
You just
Like,
have to move in.
I do have to move in, and thankfully,
It's
I
a
have a
big
piece of
house.
the house. I have a piece of the house with me, but
That's right. You do. Yeah.
yes, I do.
Mhm.
But I I don't have that here. You know, it's weird. I've been in this house for 28 years and I feel still, even though I've decorated it like a million different ways different times, I
Mhm.
feel like I'm just visiting, you
And
Yeah.
know.
sometimes you feel that way.
Yeah.
It's that's a hard feeling to adjust sometimes because when you have a life and a family, you sometimes you have to make the choice. Is this where I want to be at this moment, or should I be over here where I feel more comfortable? It's a tough thing. It's a
Mhm.
tough thing. I've had friends that have had to make that decision that one way or another it wasn't good for them. Um, and it's just it's like when I met Linda. She's not from this area, and she's a military brat, which made it even worse. She's used to hopping around, skipping around, moving around and stuff, and she was all over Europe, because her dad was in the army over there, and so it's strange. And see, for me, we hopped around a lot. In 18 years, I went to 13 different schools.
Mm.
Oh, that's a lot.
So, and we would move. My dad would build a bunch of houses. He'd sell them, and when we got to ours, he'd start building some more, and then we'd move in like a condo or something, or an apartment. And then when they were built, we'd move, and every time we'd move was a different school. Sometimes it was three. I think the most I did was four in one year.
Mm.
Oh,
Another
that's
year I
too
did three.
much.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's too
And
much.
but after you do them a few times, living in the same area, at least you'll cross over some of the same schools again.
Mm.
That's
But
the
I've
hard
always, I've
life.
always, I've always kept a tight knit group of friends around me. These days, I shouldn't say it like this. These days, I don't need them. They don't need to be around as much because I have like friends like y'all, but then I have a lot of other kind of friends, and it's just a different world for me today. And I call friends. A lot of my friends now are into strange phenomena, I guess we'll say.
Because
Yeah.
people find one another.
Yeah,
Like-minded individuals always find one another.
absolutely.
Well,
I
one thing I
agree.
learned studying certain types of people is there's core groups, and there'll always be a small center, and then there'll be a circle around them, which could be X amount of people, and then around and around and around and around and around until it gets out to a couple of thousand people. It's a strange thing, but on a side note here, we're going to kind of side segue here since we're talking about this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So people always tell me about karma as a bitch and this, that, and other thing, and if you believe in karma, it can be. But like I like to tell my friends, I said I wasn't here. I wasn't sent here to experience karma. I was sent here to dish it out.
I was going to say, I try to behave.
So well, no, I mean, for people
Uh,
who live, because I mean, everybody gets bad stuff in their life. It's part of life, unfortunately. You get kicks here and kicks there and kicks here. For me, I don't so much believe it that it's karma or not, but I do feel like when I piss somebody off real bad, well, that's karma for you, buddy. You shouldn't have hacked me off. And I do feel a lot of times that I am here to teach people certain karmic lessons because people go one way, and I'm like, well, you're ignorant. You should be going this way. And y'all know me well enough to know I don't have a problem telling somebody. I feel like that, sometimes, and especially the people who go out of their way to be like an ass to you. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, let me show you what karma really is, and then you can come back and tell me karma's a bitch. I just feel in some ways that all of us, at least some of us, I should say, are here to put out as much as we're learning. So what I mean for y'all too is, and I know y'all have experienced stuff like this. So for every lesson you've learned, do you think you've taught one or more,
Hmm. I can
or
tell you
maybe given?
multitudes, multitudes. I am so humbled by the amount of people who have emailed me through the years, or handwritten letters, or I've even gotten video testimonials from people who have credited me with saving their lives. Or I thought, oh my gosh, that's just so profound, and it's too big of a responsibility. I think for all the hard knocks that I've learned, I like to think, because I taught myself. I mean, I cleared myself and taught myself how to change my mindset and things like that. And that's something I've gone on to teach a lot of people that I've helped through 18 years. And some of those people went on to start their own groups and went on to help other people. So obviously, the education that came with the help was the most valuable asset of which I left behind. So I think if everybody moves forward and pays it forward, then I think, you've got a pretty good thing going.
I think you're a natural born teacher, to be
No,
honest.
thanks.
You're very good at and very generous at sharing information. I know that with me, and I've seen you work with other people. Um, Michelle will never leave anyone behind,
But
and it shows. Pardon?
I'm just saying. But remember, karma's not always a nice thing.
No.
No,
A lot of
karma
times
I
when
is
we
have
have
not
to
had to
teach
always.
that.
exhibit that a few times. Yeah.
I don't. I feel
Yeah.
more. Um, I feel that I've learned a lot of lessons, but yet somehow they slip my mind when it happens again.
I'm with you on that, Amelia.
Yeah, I think
High
Joe and I
five.
are very much
High
alike in
five
that
on
way.
that one. Yeah.
Um, I feel like it's just crazy. Like sometimes I'm like, and I know Michelle knows this about me. I will give somebody like 115 freaking chances
Mm.
and still not catch on that this person should not be in my life.
And I'm
There's
opposite. And I'm
and
always
she's the
saying to her,
opposite.
what are you
Yeah.
doing? What are
Yeah,
you doing?
she'll say to me like, I have to tell you this because I love you and I love
I
you for
know.
telling me.
I know.
And I think it's the empath in me that doesn't let go, because I don't know if I'm picking up. I'm still I feel like for an empath, when you have an empath ability, there's always, where you're really strong at it, there's always a struggle in knowing what's yours and what's not. You have to really focus and meditate on it to be able to separate the two. Um, and I'm learning that it's okay not to take care of everyone, which is hard. But
That's a hard one.
that's a hard one to learn. Backing off is, for me to distance myself, that's got to be the most difficult thing I can do.
You have to just stick to it. Remember, my famous saying is say what you mean what you say, follow through.
Yeah.
If you falter from that, you're going to you'll be a hamster on a wheel. You have to at some point just do it and stick to it.
Yeah, it's really hard. And I've talked to other people that are really strong empaths, and they go through a lot of the same thing. But I'm lucky. I'm so blessed that I have other abilities to balance that, so it's not too
Yeah.
bad. But it's funny because I'm hardest on my family members. I'm harder on them than I am on other people, and I guess that's what I'm trying to learn. I think my biggest lesson in the last couple years, and it's funny since meeting Michelle, has been not everyone's going to love the way you love. And it's
No.
okay. No expectations. You kind of have to that's been my hardest lesson.
That's the big one. To do things
Yeah.
without expectation. Don't expect from other people, then
Yeah.
you won't be disappointed.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's never in material things, my expectations. It's always in respect. And when I don't get it back, it really makes my blood boil.
Mhm.
I can understand that.
And believe it or not, this is a silly thing, because I've been told, oh, you shouldn't feel that way. You should feel so good that you are that way. Being reliable bothers me.
Well,
Right?
shit.
The
There
only
we have
reason,
it.
yeah, the only reason it bothers me is because it costs me money. But other than that,
Being reliable?
yes, being reliable means that it's going to cost me money. Usually, if there's 7 people, if they call me, I already know what they're asking me for.
Yeah.
I know what the call is going to be, and it's just one of them things. But
Yeah.
but I love them, so they get away with it. But still, when
But
I get aggravated, they leave me alone.
Sometimes the greatest thing you can do for someone is say no.
It's true.
Hmm.
It is just say no. That's why they came up with that little slogan. Just say
Yeah.
no. Y'all people, y'all say no to me. Y'all fired. Y'all hear me if y'all listening out there. I'm not even talking about this company. I'm talking about the other one.
Uh-oh.
Oh man, so when you're talking about things like karma and different psychic abilities, so we always ask, and I'm gonna ask y'all both this, but so if you go into someone's mind without asking them, do you consider that an intrusion?
I don't do it.
I don't
you
go
don't-
into anyone's
But
mind.
sometimes it happens by accident.
Nope.
Yeah, it
I
does.
No,
don't-
nothing
It might happen
happens.
when you're sleeping. Or y'all
Well,
might not
I
be
don't
aware
know
of it.
if
I'll
I'm
have to teach
I
y'all
don't
that.
know.
I'm
Do you
not
know when I'm
aware-
sleeping?
if I'm
Oh,
not
I'll have to
aware
teach
of
her
it, it
that.
doesn't count.
It most certainly does, but
No, it doesn't.
it does
Because
most certainly count.
I don't know
Oh,
what
When
my
you go on the other
intentions
side and
were.
the big guy's going up the list, he's going to say, and Amelia, you was in this dream and that dream.
You were astral projecting all over the place. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, say,
aware that I leave my body, but I'm not aware of everything that I do. I'm aware of it because when I wake up, I'm exhausted as you know what. So
plus, most people know when they're being tapped into. I know when I'm being tapped into. I
I
not say
do.
anything, but you might hear me get really belligerent while I'm sitting there going, I blah 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 blah. I know it. I'll tell you a bunch of shit you don't want to hear because I just think it is intrusive.
It's highly intrusive, and if you tap in on me and my
so
soulmate over
on
here
a
can
on a
tell you, you will definitely walk away with your head pounding. Just saying.
so on another side though, so if in passing, let's say that you're in a grocery store or you're just wherever doing whatever, and you walk past a man or a woman and you feel an intense feeling come off them. I'm not talking about desire or anything like that. I'm talking like some kind of miserable, maybe there's something attached to them, something. Will you take the time to talk to them, or will you just keep walking because you know if you ask them, it's liable to cause trouble? Because if they're not in the paranormal, they're going to instantly look at you like, what are you,
Yeah.
nuts?
Only had to make that mistake once, never did it again.
I was just asking Michelle.
Um, okay,
See, I know she'll
that
tell. So,
that can go like either way. You're saying that if I see something with someone,
mhm.
do I pull them aside and
Let,
say
let's
something?
let's do it. Like make it easier on you. Say you're at a shoot, and somebody doing the shoot because you know as well as it. There's always people
Yep.
milling around, and
Yes.
you sense something on a particular. Maybe it's a cameraman, maybe it's a light man, maybe it's an audio
I'll
man,
pull
maybe it's
it.
a producer. Will
I'll
you
pull
Yeah.
stop
it.
him and pull him on the side and say, "Hey, look, I really have this sense about such and such." So now that's a controlled situation where they're already filming you for whatever
Yep.
you're going to be talking about. So
Yep.
that should be more comfortable. Now
That's
take
easy.
that and go outside to the local bar, the local convenience store, or the local mall. Would you still do it?
Hmm. I have, I have on a couple of occasions. If it's very, I mean, if it's real, if something is really malevolent,
Ah, that's
you
a
know what I
different game.
mean? But then you can usually sort of tap into the entity and
With
work it that way also.
without talking to them.
Yeah, because you don't really want to like frighten anybody.
No. Because that'll
Take one
just
of those
feed the
pictures
energy.
while they don't realize you're getting
Yeah.
them, or
You don't
you know.
want to put fear in them. It just feeds the entity and then it gets stronger. Um, I've had the opposite where people have come to me and
Mm-hmm.
asked me
Same.
questions.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I only once went up to a man to tell him about a childhood friend that passed away, and I could clearly see he was lying to me. And I'll never do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Never do it again.
Some people are going to feel uncomfortable, but it is truly a good soul that will do something without no chance of reward, without anybody ever knowing it. It takes a special kind of person to do that.
But
Mm-hmm.
those are our favorite things to do. Charity anonymously, working anonymously, is the best thing. I worked behind the scenes with missing kids for the longest time until somebody blew my name up. So it's I don't know. For me, it just feels more sincere. I feel more focused. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
you sound pretty comfortable with who and what you are, for the most part, which we'll get a little bit more into that in a little while. But
oh gosh.
um, well, no, I mean it's good for people to know because a lot of people when I was talking about this on it was after the show Monday. I had a couple people come text me and they were asking me. I said, "Well, what do y'all want to know about them?" I said, I know their surface, who they are on the surface, and I said, I know some of their background. I said, but still, who is Michelle? Who is Amelia? Said the only reason I know is because I can sense them. I said, but that's a different way of knowing someone than asking them questions. And for our audience, a lot of our audiences, whether it's any one of the three of ours, can't necessarily sense this, so they want to know these kind of things. How
Mhm.
would you handle something? Because somebody asked me the other day, they said one of their friends definitely had something attached to him, but he was scared to intervene. And I said, well, you don't. I said, y'all are always in the same room. You're always doing the same things. I said, you don't necessarily have to tell him. You can intervene on his behalf. I said, but be careful. I said, because some people come to like the interdiction. And what I mean by that is over the years, I've met people who had attachments that enjoyed it. It gave them an excuse to be bad. It gave them an excuse. They would blame it on alcohol and drugs, but they never wanted to get away from it because it's really and truly who they wanted to be. And as an empath, you can sense it quite easily. It's just who the person is. So whatever latched on to the right person because that's what they wanted. They wanted to feed it. They wanted to be that person. They wanted to be that no good, egotistical asshole bastard. That's just who they wanted to be. Or the other way could be female too. I'm not judging, but there are so in that case, do you waste your time to remove it and hope that he goes on to a better life or she goes on to a better life, or do you just leave it alone and let it go on about its business?
I have always had golden rules um, doing this. Like I said, I started researching in 2004, and I seem to have a very good knack for being able to work and remove malevolent beings. But I always had a rule, and not so much a rule, but there's a bit of a hierarchy. So, children, animals, people who are vulnerable. The people who like to play with this stuff, was a different thing. It's like, you can just get on the list. At one point, my list, did hit like almost 3 years, and I got it down to about 18 months for me to be there. People didn't want me referring them; they just wanted me to do this.
I know
But
that feeling.
yeah, well, I'm compassionate, and again, I'll educate you as well. I'm not just going to. I mean, I've taught people how to clear themselves to the point where, um, I didn't even have to go at the end of it all. Like they just did it themselves because realistically, a lot of times it really is the mindset. So that to me was something I always ask people: how did this come onto you? You're just victim of circumstance? Did you just move into a location? Do you just happen to be friends with somebody who was messing around and you didn't mess around, but it just piggybacked onto you? Like, I look for the vulnerable first. Everyone
Well,
who else wants to play, well, you can play, but
well,
you
you're
have
gonna you're
to
gonna you're gonna have your
wait.
witches and your necromancers and stuff like that, just
Yeah, but
that
usually you have
want.
people who know what they're doing. I'm talking about
Yeah,
people who just want
no.
to, oh, we're just going to, take out the communication device. And again, when it comes to those sort of things, is some people actually know what they're doing, but some people don't.
I find the majority of them have not a clue what's going on. But
Yeah,
I mean, don't
yeah.
get me wrong. I've met a few over the years that managed to, let me say, incorporate it into their life. Might be a better way of saying it, but
Mm,
Hmm.
still. And the two necromancer girls were definitely two of them. They control whatever it is quite well, but they controlled it between them, which was kind of a little weird. It's like they shared um, the telepathic connection with it. So it was a little weird, but it was what they were after. I mean, it was what they wanted, and they wanted to be who that wanted them to be. I do run across people sometimes who want to be what the thing wants them to be, because a lot of times without it, they're not that outgoing or that that other person. They're just kind of reframed and sit back and don't take any chances, which is in some ways is kind of bites, but still, I mean, people.
mm,
I was when I was young. I was quite withdrawn. I didn't get I didn't get outgoing until I was in my I don't know sometime after my dad died. After that, I just got pissed at the world, so I became extremely outgoing. But sometimes it's not good to be going outgoing. People, it tends to piss off a lot of people. You make a lot of enemies along the way because they either get jealous or angry. Or I had one lady say, "Well, I just hate you," and I said, "Why?" I said, "I helped you out." She said, "Well, you just shouldn't have those abilities. I should have them." I'm like, okay. I said, well, go get your own damn abilities. Get off of mine.
yeah, dig deep, man.
I'm like, you might have them somewhere. It's just, and then, like when we teach dream movement courses, we teach people about opening doors. When you're in somebody's head, you never know what's up in there. You don't never know what these people did in their earlier life. You don't know what their luggage is, what their problems are. And when you go to opening up doors, and I always call them doors because they're usually some type of pathway. When you open up a door, you just don't know what you're going to find in there. And so we try to teach a minimum, but some people think it's funny to go around prying in people's heads. And
Mm,
then when you're in the head when you're prying, it doesn't always work out the way you think it is.
right.
Sometimes you become part of the experience, and then you can lose control of the experience. So it's a tough thing, but it's something I learned. Then we had a lot of people in the chat room tonight, and all of them, matter of fact. Uh, there was like 40 just a few minutes ago. That's kind of great. Y'all can ask questions. We're in the UFO Paranormal Radar. You know what? I can see all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to send them from any of the ones, and Claire, I do not have Pal Talk open on this computer tonight. I just seen the messenger pop up. No, it's on the other one. I can't see it. Y'all, it's just best to come to one of the. Well, go to Facebook. Yeah, you can catch us on any of the Facebook pages. That's the best way to do Facebook or one of the UFO paranormal pages. Yeah, I got Messenger open, but I'm not really paying attention to it. So there's been a lot of
No.
questions coming from up top. So there's been no reason. And the private thing, I mean, not the private thing, the other thing pops up every once in a while. So it's just an easy way to do it. Plus, we had quite a few questions that were sent in for this show.
Wow.
Yes,
I didn't realize there was that much
over 50.
interest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I said, once we remove the pervert questions out of it, it's a 50. Yeah, there was lots of questions about cup sizes and heights and heels and all sorts of stuff. Somebody said,
Uh,
two people wrote, no, I'm sorry, four people wrote to me about what size heels y'all wear. And I said, what the hell's that got to do with anything?
Tall
And,
ones.
and I said, and that's what I said. I wrote back to them.
Stiletto.
I said they probably big
Yeah.
old tall ass heels that they can spike you in the head with. Yeah, see, there you go. What I just said,
there
they
you go.
spike you in the head
They're
with.
they're on
So,
me right
you
now,
know, so
so
what
I
I'm
can
saying
reach
is,
the floor. And Michelle is no different.
I'm just saying. So, there was lots of questions along those lines, and I said they could mail y'all personally for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Well, give me their emails." That's never going to happen. I said, "If you can find their emails," I said, "Go over to their website and mail them. See if they might not boot you off the page. I don't know." I said, "That's entirely up to them." But a lady had written in, and she said she can tell that y'all share an empathic ability, empathic connection between each other, and she wanted to know how often does it get aggravating. And I know what she means by this because a few of my friends I'm very empathic with, and sometimes they get on my effing nerves like you would. And don't get me wrong, I love them to death, people. I don't want y'all to get the wrong idea here, but oh my God, because their brain's going this way and my brain's going that way. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. It's like stretching apart here. I'm waiting for the snapback to come in. So, I mean, I've seen y'all, and I talk to y'all off camera a lot too. So, I mean, and I know it's a personal question. Don't have to answer if you don't want to. But I mean, I
And
know
to hide.
sometimes. I mean, I know sometimes it has to because anytime you're close to somebody and you're empathic, there's going to be some wear in there. Even though it usually doesn't last long because the empathic ability kicks in, and kind of smooths it out. But still, And when the lady who asked me said because she has an empathic ability with her husband, and she said it's been great for a lot of things. She said until he gets off to thinking about shit, I want to slap the crap out of him for.
I
I was like,
I think the key to all of that is just communication. I mean, we have a really good friendship, but
yeah, y'all
there
do.
are times, where there are
She turns
concerns
into an
or
alien and scares the shit out of you.
I'll just come out and say something, and I'm pretty open with no, if I piss you off, tell me,
Yeah.
because if you don't communicate, it's just you're not going to get anything. You're just going to be spinning on a wheel. We don't have a lot of issues.
No, I think
Yeah,
it's a great respect for each other too.
They
yeah.
work good together.
Yeah.
And when people do
Yeah.
work good together, it does make it easier.
I
Uh,
don't feel like Michelle and I have ever been apart. It feels like we've always been together, so that's probably why. And I respect her a great deal. So when I am one person that I appreciate constructive criticism, unlike some people, I might get my feelings hurt a little bit, but I stop and I think, and I am very, very strong advocate for accountability.
Mm,
Hold yourself accountable to everything, look at it, and all you can do is grow from it. Nothing bad can come from this. So communication is huge, between us, and it's really good.
mhm,
There's a reason why we're together. It's not just the
mhm,
work. I feel like there's been a lot of lifetimes together, but
mhm.
I feel there's times where we feel like one. It's really bizarre. Tell them
Tell them
hope
how
you
you
two.
met.
Oh, how you
How
two
you met. It's a
met.
great story.
Thanks, sweetie.
yeah,
Okay.
go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead, Bubbles. You could
Me?
go ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
you go
I've
ahead. You
told
go
this
ahead.
story so many times, but yeah.
Yeah, you tell it well.
The first time, the first time that I saw Michelle was on TV, like most people. She was working a case, a malevolent, of course, a malevolent case, a demonic case, and not far from home. And I remember seeing her on TV and saying, I'm gonna meet her one day. I just feel like I know her. This is really weird. I'm gonna meet her one day. So years go by. This is when my daughter's very young. Years go by, and in 2018, I'm feeling really tired. It's a Saturday. I'm exhausted, and I'm like, I am not going on Facebook. What the hell do? I open up my laptop and I go on Facebook. All of a sudden, in the newsfeed, is Central Ontario Animal Rescue is having an auction. I'm going to be careful how I say it this time because last time it sounded really dirty.
I know it did. I'm sitting there going, it's a little awkward.
Yeah, I said I won a night with Michelle, and I'm like, wait a minute. So anyways, there was an auction on Facebook, and they were raising money for this animal rescue, which to me is so dear to my heart. I love puppies, and I love fur babies of all kinds. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wait a minute, I get to spend a few hours with her? What? Like, something inside of me was like, cut everybody off at the knees. There was nothing nice about me that day. Cut everybody off at the knees. This is yours. You're going to spend that evening with her. This is yours. And I did. And I remember saying to her, I don't need to go anywhere. I just need to meet you. We don't have to do anything. And it was a fantastic night. And of course, her and Wayne were so incredibly gracious and generous with their time. And I got to go into her place for the first time. And I was really shocked because Michelle is a very, very private person. That's another thing we have in common with things. It's another reason why we have so much respect for each other. So it just, and we hit it off before we met. And I have met a lot of stars in my lifetime. My father was like the right-hand man for Isidore Sharp, who is still acting CEO for Four Seasons Hotels. So I was always around them. Never did I get starstruck. It was just like, what, hi, yeah, hi, I've met 3 prime ministers, whatever, right? I meet Michelle, I'm bouncing.
And I'm like, what
up and down. And I'm like, oh,
like,
my, it was like this energy between us. Just, it was like together again, that kind of feeling. And
that was different.
It was nonstop talking. It was nonstop talking for a week before that in Messenger, but it was like I was allowed to bring 3 other friends, and I didn't want to. Sorry, guys, if you're watching. And I'm like, can I just come by myself?
I'm like, whatever. Okay.
And Wayne had me at hello with all his impersonations. Oh my God. I fell in love. It was like I came home to my family, between the two of them. So for me, that night is so memorable and I'll never forget. Even when I talk about it, I could feel it all over again. And I'm so, so happy. But I knew deep down inside that we were going to meet. Expect to work with her? Never, because we did 2 different things. I never worked a malevolent haunting in my freaking life, other than whatever happened to me in my lifetime. I've never come across it, never looked for it, never went on an investigation. That was a first for me. I always worked in missing children, crime cases, cold cases, murder cases, serial killers. I've always worked that, even on radio. So this was big. This was huge. This was a big jump for me. And I was scared. Not of Michelle. Good. I was scared to work. Thank you. She's my queen.
You're like a little sponge. You just absorb.
Oh, thank you. Well, you're an amazing teacher, so that makes it really easy. I've had several mentors, but I've never had a mentor who is so generous and so calm, patient, and step by step. Like I don't want to give too much away of it because of the way we work. It's very confidential. But let's just say I'm never left alone. Mm-hmm. I'm always protected. So.
Absolutely.
Maybe you were her mama in y'all's last life.
Or maybe the other way around.
No. Usually we find whoever is the youngest in this life was the oldest in the last one.
That's funny. Possibility. But it's fine. There's not that many years are not that vast between us.
I don't know. I came here with all the rest of the Joes that are out in the universe right now.
Michelle and I are closer in age than myself and my brothers.
Related to
you.
That's strange. When people meet, well, that's just strange how people meet each other, how people connect. The internet's a weird thing because we found out, 25 years ago, it's if you're empathic or telepathic, The internet actually enhances it. So, and the reason why is most people don't realize it. Like right now, we're sitting here talking, but this earbud is plugged into my ear. It's physically connected to me. I got one hand sitting on the keyboard, one hand sitting on the mouse. I'm physically connected to it. So that means all my empathic and telepathic abilities are physically connected to a medium that sends it out at light speed across the entire planet all at one time. So if you're very sensitive and you know a group of people, or you're working with a group of people, like when we lock up and there'll be 30 or 40 of us in a group and nobody else, it's very easy to telepathically connect with the whole group. It's very irritating sometimes too, but it's very, very, very easy. Well, because people get distracted. And you know how I am, man. Look, flashing light can get my ass distracted. So when we're in serious meetings, when we're doing serious cases, when we're in serious meetings, it can be a real pain in the ass when somebody gets distracted. But everybody in a group is telepathic. Everybody in a group is empathic. So it makes for some, you can't lie to each other, which makes it a bitch right off the bat. Um,
I don't
but
think there's a need to.
That's what I was going to say. Why would you want to?
sometimes white lies are better than the truth. I just got to say in some cases. But anyway, regardless, it doesn't matter because you can't do it anyway. So, because
That's a racist comment.
Black lies, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, black lies. We call it Hispanic lies, so that we don't care. Whatever lies you want to call it, we're not a group that doesn't really care about that kind of things. And speaking of that, the main group I work with is very diverse. Is all I can say. Men, women, pretty much everything's represented in them. Almost every political and religious is in that group, which that's why we don't want to talk about either one of them, politics or religion, because then I feel like I got to brainwash the whole group and send them home away. Now, something I wanted to ask y'all. So, it depends on what level your empathic and telepathic abilities are. So, have you ever, this is the evil question, by the way, have you ever just told somebody just like off them? And what I mean, I'm not talking about killing them, people. For anybody who writes to me, I'm talking about when a particular individual will be bothering you or aggravating you, or if something is disturbing you from someone, you just off it. And what I mean by that is you can send out a telepathic message or a telepathic image and just push it out of your head and out of the person's head that's sending it to you. It's hard to do with people that are really, 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 really close to you because there's a lot of love involved in it, and sometimes the love will override the other thing. But for people that you don't really care about, it's an easy thing to do.
I'm
So,
very verbal, and I'll just blurt it out and say,
Michelle, be gone, bitch.
it's pretty much like that. I don't know.
Forward.
Yeah,
Be gone.
just like that. No, no, I
Emily,
don't. I don't.
Emily's a little more quiet. Emily, what is the Emily thing tonight? Amelia is a
Yeah.
little bit more quiet, and
Amelia,
I talk more than you do, but
we are talking about
no.
our little Amelia. No, she'll tell it like it is all day long.
actually,
No,
I'm pretty
no.
much a bulldog. But
Amelia will wear some of her feelings on her arm, but she keeps some of them very, very, very close to her chest. Very close. You do too, by the way. Um,
I'm
there's
an
certain
observer.
Yeah, but there's certain
We'll just leave
things
it there.
that y'all keep very, very guarded, and very, very close to each other. I'm not gonna get into why or what it is, but y'all do. And it's some things that y'all are very open about and very cordial about, and very out there about. Either way, it's good or bad. But there are some things because, like I said, there's some emotions y'all wear in your sleeves, and you just let them out there for the whole group to see and wear. I mean, we all do TV every week, so it's hard not to. But there are some things y'all keep very tight and very close.
Well, we're,
So
we're
I'm not going to
private
ask what they
people.
are. Yeah, I know, but I'm not going to ask what they are. And I'm
like
not
when
even going
you
to ask how they are. What I want to know is why are they?
when you said I'm quiet, I think my niece just fell off her chair. Did I get that right, Chaz? I am not quiet with my family. I'm actually the bulldog. I'm the peacemaker, but I'm the bulldog. Like they'll
Hmm.
go without talking to each other,
But I've
and I
talked to you
don't
enough
do
to know
that.
that you hold things really close to your chest,
I
really
do
close to
hold
your heart.
things because I'm so afraid of hurting someone else's feelings when and it's so stupid. It's like, wait a minute, but you're hurting
But
me right
but you
now.
do. Yeah, I was going to say you do it at the expense of your own
Yeah,
feelings.
see, she's laughing. Oh yeah, I am not quiet. Jessica will tell you. She just said, "Oh yeah." um,
Yes,
I'm
and I know you don't like me
definitely
prying in this because you keep deflecting, but still.
no, 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 no. I'm trying to put it so that in case my brothers are listening, they don't think what the and I don't get text messages in an hour.
No, you don't want
Um,
them using it against you. That's
no, I think they know that I'm very much a peacemaker amongst them, but I believe that people close to me know that I have a limit. And if you're not, the more I love you, the more I will hold back. The less I love you, I always say, if I'm screaming, I still love you. If I'm quiet, you better run.
So when you're in trouble.
Yeah, you better run, because I'm thinking this through and I'm thinking we're done and I'm going to make it hurt. Like, I am not the good, nice, I'm the worst one from out of the two of us. And Jessica, Amelia has a huge heart. No, I love you, Jess, because you're my niece. And
I'm
well, I
just
love you,
selective.
but
I pick my battles. I'm an observer. Some things don't matter to me.
Run
I'm
fast.
just I get beyond a point where it really doesn't matter.
Jeffrey Pritchard wrote in and said, "Why are y'all two squirming so much?"
Evolution.
I'm
I
always
think.
squirmy.
Yeah, for me, I think I am a private person. I've spent 18 years in the media. I am very guarded because I have a family, and for me, I don't I don't expose any of that. I try to govern myself properly, whether I'm driving within my community, because it's my seriously.
I hear about your driving. I don't even know.
I'm not gonna go
Come to
cut.
Canada.
I'm not gonna go cut you off. Let's put it
No,
that
not
way.
in Niagara Falls, but beware on the QE.
Yeah. See, if I'm in between my communities, it's different. but right down to, I think, how I govern myself for my producers. How I govern myself here. I am going to bellyache behind the scenes. I'll say, "What the freaking hell did I just see?" Something like that.
They're not
But
lying to y'all either.
I am very guarded, because there's a lot of things about me that make up me. And it's the world knows so much about me. I'm very, very much an open book. You look at my interviews, I'll tell you what you want. But there's certain things that is for me and those that are close to me only.
I agree. There's some things you got to keep close to your chest. You got to keep guarded. Might be a better way of saying it. But
well, if I'm out like freaking like smacking laser beams at everybody, the Vatican's going to try to lock me up. That wouldn't be helpful.
I got friends there too. Don't worry.
I don't think they could hold you.
Actually, if I could ever get my ass over there, Italy,
otherwise they would have done it by now.
I've actually been offered 2 private tours of the underground Vatican. I just can't never seem to get over there. It's always something going on. And last year it looked like we were going to get to go, and of course, COVID started up.
I ain't going anywhere near the Vatican.
I met a gentleman.
Not making it easy.
I would go to walk into that course, because I know it's in Italian and I would be able to fly through it, but I would go just for that course. I would take that course, sit there and listen to what they call an education on it and what evidence and stuff like that. I would be interested in that, but I have no interest in the Vatican any other way.
Well, apparently Father Malducci, when he was in the United States, I must have made quite an impression on him, because when he went back, my name floated around. Well, I asked him a lot of serious questions about, things that the Vatican should know about, since he was at a UFO conference telling us about how aliens have a higher soul than we do. I figured, well, you opened it up, buddy. We might as well ask the questions.
Let's go there.
And right. I really put some hard questions on him, and he really did. He really did at the end again, before it was all done, because he had to have Paula Harris translate for him, because his English was about as good as my Italian. So he said it again. He said that the aliens are a much higher spiritual level than we are, much higher. He says one of the reasons they can come here and do whatever they want and God doesn't interfere with them, he said, because they're their creatures too, and they're just on a higher, both mentally, physical, and spiritual plane than we are, something that we can't reach for quite some time. And I was just stunned that he said that. So when I met the astronomer from there, he's another guy who believes in aliens, and talked to him about it, he said, "Oh no," he said, "Yeah, they liked you." He said, "You just asked the right questions." He said, "You put out the answers without criticizing the church." I said, "Well, what criticism was there to talk about?" He just told me that I need to be worshiping the aliens because they were more spiritual than I was. I said, "I didn't know what to think about that. I still don't know what to think about that." But those kind of things happen in our lives. Which, if I get to go, I'll let y'all know. I'll be taking my camera with me. I'm sure they won't be taking it out.
Well, if you go, I'm going too.
It's I really, if COVID ever stops, I'm going to go, because while these guys are still alive and still have power over there, I'd like to be able to go. the two tours I asked about. One was a library that hasn't no one but them have been in it over 150 years, so I can get access to that. Which I got two books I
Oh
want to
yeah.
look at that have nothing to do with ufology, by the way, and just some other stuff that I'm interested in. And then there's a catacomb that I really gentleman from Italy had told me about that he had found by accident. They were actually digging in his house and dug down into the catacomb.
There's a lot of them in Italy.
Well, the Vatican bought the whole block up.
Oh wow.
And the governor didn't give any, told people had to get out. I was like, what? He said, yeah. He said, you got to see this thing. So I asked about it, and then they said, yeah. So we'll see. If I ever get over there before I croak, then I might go and I might not come back because something might mysteriously happen to my ass while I'm over there. So
You never know what happens in the Vatican stays in the Vatican.
So one of the questions that came in yesterday was Christopher Wright from where I had it at. Hold on, where's some damn emails at? From Sioux Falls wrote in, and he wanted to know, and this is for both. He wanted to know through life what has been your favorite event, and I was confused about the question, so I wrote back to him. I'm like, event? I mean, like having a child, going to a concert. I mean, what do you mean by event? And all he wrote back to me was a personal event. What would you consider a something that was really great for you, but also life changing at the same time? And it can't be having a child either, by the way.
Oh, that would have been it for me. Was becoming a
Can't be
mother.
that one.
My God, my daughter's my world.
Like most parents.
That's another thing we have in common is our parenting. Michelle and I, good Lord. At least somebody understands me. You ready for that one, Michelle?
I've
I
actually
don't
been
have
thinking
it.
about sending my son to live with y'all in Canada.
Yeah, no problem. He might come back about 50 or 60 pounds heavier after I've
That'd be
had
good.
him.
He needs to be. He's a little skinny kid anyway. He ain't never had no good Italian cooking. He wouldn't know what to do with that stuff.
I believe personally that my journeys have been very profound. If I can't say being a mother, then I would have to say my journeys. I believe in memories, making lots of them. I come back with a piece of every place I have visited. I leave a piece of myself there also. For the most part, I go for the experience, but I also like to work while I'm away. And I say, the haunted forest in Romania was probably one of those profound moments that definitely left its mark. But I think the event in my life which left the biggest mark and changed me and how I do my work was when I did a case that I was a little bit cocky. I was still pretty new at it. And thinking that I did everything right to protect myself, I didn't bank on it infiltrating my camp, so to speak. And my daughter lost her sight over it for exactly 1 month. Every psych test, every psychiatric test, eye test, CAT scans, MRIs, everything psychologically trying to figure out what was going on. And, it took me basically tapping in and saying, okay, whatever, I will not return. But luckily, I did everything I needed to do and didn't have to return. And literally, upon saying that, my daughter got her sight back. That changes you, and it humbles you because you realize at that point that no matter how good you are, no matter how good you think you are, you should never underestimate your opponent.
It's very true.
Especially if you can't see them.
Very true. Very well said, too.
There we go.
Life has a way of teaching us humility when we need it.
Sure does.
I
Handed
don't
me my
always
own
appreciate
ass.
them lessons. Yes, I don't always appreciate those lessons either.
I know. Hand your own butt, and that's it.
While we're on that subject, that's why y'all are not getting bitched at because Science and Beyond made it into the finals. Because if it wouldn't have,
Congratulations.
it's all what y'all would have heard for the next year. Wow, 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 wow. And y'all know I can whine when I want to. Lord have mercy on y'all.
Before our boss gets mad at us, we have to do a station ID and sponsor ID.
He was supposed to do it.
He's not doing Sweet FA. Go ahead.
I'm doing Carnation. Y'all better get on focus.
You are listening to The Outer Realm with Joe Montaldo hosting the show tonight, Michelle Desrochers, and myself, Amelia Pisano, are on the hot seat. thankfully, we have the good people at Folgers who are fully sponsoring all of our shows. We love you guys. And if you're listening, we truly, truly appreciate you. And we're so grateful. Thank you.
My blood
We
type
are
is Folgers. Just
that's
saying.
right.
That's right.
And we are airing live in New Orleans on 105.3 FM. We are United Paranormal Radio, right?
Close
I
enough.
don't know anymore.
We're both.
UFO,
We're both.
UFO,
We're both.
UFO
We're both. We're
Paranormal
United
Radio.
Public.
We are United. Yes,
Actually, we're all three, so you can't go wrong. We're United Public
there you
Radio, UFO Paranormal Radio, and International Public Radio. So we
Yeah.
own all three, so it doesn't matter which one you get. You're going to find us on all of those people at uprntalkradio.com.
There you go. They're all
That's
on
where
the
you can
chat.
find all the lines, or you just look on Facebook for whoever your favorite host is. It better be me because I know where all of y'all live. I have a GPS track on everybody who logs into the system. So just know ahead of time. I know where you at.
It's Michelle and I,
Grant
but
was
anyway.
probably right when he said Joe goes to the Vatican. He probably won't come back. You'll probably keep me because I'll be like, oh, what's this? Oh, what's that? What's this? Oh, you can't leave now, buddy. What do you mean I can't leave? I didn't come here. I want to know what this is.
I usually have all of that written down behind the camera so I can read it off. But I understood that Joe was the host, so I just made the terrible
Joe is the
assumption
infamous host.
of thinking that
Infamous.
he would be doing the station
You
ID.
see, it says infamous in there. That means no. Anyway, getting back where we at? Yeah, we got. Oh, by the way, we're sitting at 2.6. I just thought I'd let y'all know.
Wow.
And, anyway,
Thank
moving
you.
on because we don't want to be
Thank
losing
you
that.
so much.
All of our listeners, everybody in chat.
So grateful.
So when I was talking with, I had to look at his name. When I was talking with Christopher yesterday, we were writing back and forth about different questions, and he said, "I really like that around. They're great. They do a great job and a great thing." He said, but one of his questions was about spiritual attacks. He said, and he just was aimed at both of y'all. He said, "Does it take a toll on y'all? Do you have to like break or do something because it may take a toll on you, not just psychically but spiritually?"
Grounding. Ground your energy. I don't personally, I've never personally felt that, like it's never, grounding has always been enough for me. I've never been tired from it. I've never felt like I've been attacked aside from that one infiltration, which was enough. It was a game changer for me. I find I get really dehydrated though when I'm working with cases. I don't know, Amelia's got her own way.
I'm wiped out.
I know. Yeah, but you go in differently too. I can tap right into you. It's easier. It just sounds wrong, I know, but but you know what I mean.
I'm carrying her on my shoulders.
It's a lot different. It's hard to explain the whole process. Even when I had to be on site in places. I mean, spirits can drain you, but a normal spirit can drain you. You don't have to be under attack for a spirit to drain your energy or a location to drain your energy.
God, your friends can drain you.
Oh, it's true. You know.
Well, Laura Morgan, who's been on the station before, and she's a professional psychic. She's actually listening right now.
Oh, hi, Laura.
She had written to me yesterday about this, and she said over the years she's noticed with most psychics that it tends to chip a little bit of their soul away every time they help somebody. Now, her and I don't agree on this, but I figured since we're talking about this tonight, I would go ahead and put it on a table for y'all. So she does say this, and she's been 40 years, I think. She's been a psychic, and a damn good one. I've heard her do a lot of predictions over the years. She's a regular speaker, regular lecturer, but she said for her, she said it chips away things, but it chips away things that kind of make her dispassionate to just normal everyday bullshit or normal everyday people that would be aggravating her.
You mean desensitizes you?
Yeah, basically. And so she was wanting to know if that affected y'all. Well, so now if you're listening again, because I didn't see you just pop up just now, y'all, it's asked for your research paper. Go ahead and finish it. Y'all going to be in a book now, I guess. But anyway. Hey, shouldn't I be in a damn book? Wait a minute.
Yeah, she'll write about how you asked the question.
I'm in enough books and for different reasons. I don't need to be in no more damn one unless it's really, really, really good.
I do agree with you on that, Joe, or with her. Yes. Desensitization.
So, because she says when she's doing different types of mediums or different types of things like trying to get rid of something or working with a person to help them try to get over something, like they would help them get rid of whatever was the problem, and then they try to work with them to help them to get past, the fear, if y'all have listened to Phil and
mindset,
Joe, they and some of the other people have been on the network that have had these experiences. it's you're even though it's gone, you still don't want to believe it's gone.
That's right.
And she says sometimes there, because she lets herself get too close, because she's an empath, she's a telepath and an empath. She said that sometimes she lets herself get too close, and then when she leaves, when she disengages from the individual because it's time for her to move on to help someone else or to do something else, she feels like at the moment that a little piece of her gets pulled away and broke off empathically to the other person. Have y'all felt that?
You know what? I've been doing this a really long time. I've worked with mindsets. I always say it's like feeling when you're under oppression, it's like you're living in a hostage situation. You behave yourself, you get treated well, you fight back, and they will oppress you harder. You have to work with people's mindsets. Does it I never abandon people. I've had people message me, we help them. I've been helping people for years, and 10 years can go by. Then I'll hear from somebody and they'll say, I just want you to know I'm okay. Or I just want you to know I had something come in, but I handled it and I'm okay. But do I feel like I leave a part of myself? No, but I've heard many mediums say, whenever you do readings, it's like you take a piece of that person, even in that baggage, and it compounds over time, But with desensitization, yes, I call it my bullshit meter because I just find I have zero tolerance for stupidity. And it's not like I mean to just be an a-hole about it. I just find that I have less and less tolerance for it. I'm just like, I can't even stand to see something ridiculous. I lose my mind. So I don't know what that is exactly. Is that being desensitized, or is that just having a low tolerance for stupidity? I don't know.
I don't think you're desensitized because just my opinion, because I know you so intimately. That came out wrong too.
Hey, man, that's tough. That is a family show.
R-rated show.
Meaning like because the
PG-17.
way we work together, there's really no secrets. So
Right.
Michelle never gives up on anybody, and that's something I admire so much and I respect, because I don't either. And I have cases of missing children that I'm still working on, and murdered people we're going on 11 years. And, you can't, when you do this kind of work, you can't walk away. I believe with you, you have a really good bullshit meter. You really do. No, you really do. Desensitized, no, but
my bullshit battles.
I feel desensitized is the wrong word, because
Right.
you always care and you're always there. There isn't anyone, they can come in at 11 o'clock and we're just finishing up and we still do it.
There's still got to be a point when you cut somebody off.
Yeah, but that's a bullshit meter.
That's the bullshit meter.
But I mean, it doesn't matter.
I've helped you 10 times.
Yeah, but when you're working with somebody and there's other people coming up that need your attention more.
For sure. If you're not helping yourself,
you have to break away, even if the other person's not ready for it.
We help you to help yourself. That's part of it. We can't babysit you your whole life, but we drop off. And if somewhere down the road something happens, okay, we'll have a look, But heck no, if people, you keep checking people and they're holding fine, they're holding steady, you move on to the next person. We never get anything accomplished if we were always taking care of the same people. And people will not help themselves if they think they have a safety net. They will be more reluctant to help themselves and to change your mindset. You know what I mean?
See
right there. I know. I see what I put up with right there. So you have to, I have always prided myself on educating people so they don't need me. Because you know what? I've said for years, I won't be here forever. I'll be dead one day. I don't plan on doing this in my afterlife, and I've tried to teach as many people as I could about that. However, with that being said, my team has always been solid. It's always been pretty much, for the most part, the same people. It runs like a company. There's only been, I've taught a little bit here and there because it depends on the person I'm teaching. What are you going to do with it? Can you handle doing this? Where's your threshold? Amelia's the first person I've 100% taken in and said, okay, I'm going to show you the majority of what I know. Will I ever teach anything 100%? No, because probably don't remember it all until the time comes. I go, oh yeah, bam, I use it, I apply it. It's not something you use every day, so it's not something you
No,
even think about every
we
day.
work differently too.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I couldn't say desensitized because I can't be sensitive when I'm doing what I'm doing with Michelle. If I am sensitive and I'm empathic, I'm going down.
Right.
That's what you have to understand. What we're fighting, I can't let my guard down. Now, when it comes to missing children or cold cases, and I've looked at crime scene photos of children, I had to take a break.
Yeah,
That
bless you. I don't know how you do that.
you know what?
Mhm.
I remember the first time I looked at a very popular murdered child's crime scene photos, and I fell down to my knees. I couldn't believe what I was looking at, knowing who did it, how close they were, and I couldn't believe that that was even possible. But that didn't stop me; it drove me,
Mhm.
because all I kept thinking was, okay, God, you gave me these abilities. You've tried to push me. I'm in my 40s now. I need to do this. You can stop knocking. I get it now.
Mhm.
But I kept
Persevering.
behind the scenes and persevering for until I burnt out. And I took a break for a year and I went back. And to this day, I will take an urgent case, but I want the case within the first, you know what I mean, first before anybody, because the
Yeah.
longer it waits, I look at it two different ways. It's not just, I don't just read a case like a medium does. Um, I do things differently, and I've also got training from Bobby Brown, with how to set something up with as a profile and how to read language. I've studied over the years how to read body language and how to pick up on little signals and then tap into that. So it's a different way of doing things. I need to be very sensitive there. And when I'm working with Michelle, I can't afford to be
Mhm.
sensitive.
That's a
So
weakness.
it's really weird. But I will say I have definitely left a lot of me with those children. That
Well,
I do
I
know.
can see that.
That
I
I
got
do. I can tell you because the when you asked earlier, the greatest event for me, other than of course the birth of my daughter, she's my greatest gift. Um, for me, the greatest event and life changing in my life was bringing that first girl home, and I'll never forget it. And I have a letter from the family, and I keep that very private. I still have a relationship with her, and it's been since 2013.
good.
And I will never ever forget that. And that was when I was burning out, and I was getting really tired and
And
frustrated.
and I want to say something that people don't know is that Amelia herself, not counting anybody that may have worked with her at that time, herself has brought home what, 52 kids?
140.
Oh, 140. So they were lying. So
It was
just
at
her,
the end. Oh, just myself was
just
was close to
yourself.
70. Yeah.
Okay, so that's climbed obviously from that time. So just so
Yeah.
y'all know, you
She's
have something
she's my
going
biggest
down. That's the
cheerleader.
girl right there you want,
Thank
right
you
there.
so much.
It's
I
true.
I don't I have a huge passion for it.
There you go.
And I don't know how I do it. I just follow through. I think it's just all feel like they're
Mhm.
mine. I don't
Yep.
know. I also had a family member who was abducted, molested and tortured for days, and he was only 12 and I was 18. So that that just stays with you.
Yeah, it sticks
Mhm.
with
And
you.
if you can do something to help, and whenever families come to a medium, you're their last hope. So please, if you don't have any experience in this, don't take this up like it's a hobby, because it's not. It's a commitment.
I
It
wish
I
they
is.
was
would
on
listen to
call
that.
24/7 for years.
I wish people
um,
would listen to that, but
there's
they
too many psychics that just want to be called on this team or on that team. I worked alone for a long time,
yeah.
and I had to step away from it because dealing with the parents was difficult, especially when they were divorced or separated. It was hard for me. So I always
which
had
usually
tried to have a
happens when a
mediator.
child.
Well, even before that, right? So I would always have a mediator in between, you know. Um, and I will tell you that one time to protect a child, and they'll never know that this was me, even if I talk about this on air because this happened so long ago. I lied about finding her because she was being sexually abused at home. So let me tell you, if you're looking for somebody because you're trying to find them, don't contact me because I can see through that bullshit. So
So, but see,
yeah.
even that pays off in a way. Now,
Well,
on
she got to she was protected. We did everything legally. And we told them that we were unable to find her because she needed to be protected. So,
well, sometimes that's how it is. I mean, sometimes
yeah.
kids come from bad places and they need to be protected.
But
And
as a medium, if you're doing that kind of work, you have to be careful who comes to you looking for their wife or their husband. You don't know what their intentions are.
yeah,
So don't just take it on a whim that this is sincere.
but people, if you can't read that one of them with a problem, then you shouldn't be doing this in the first damn place.
No.
You should be on to something else. Now, on a little different note, and it's a little personal too, and y'all can waive this question if you want to. First off, it is Sarah Kamash. I can't even say it.
What?
He's an Indian yoga. He's writing
Ah,
in. He's actually listening live right now. So
Hi.
he sends y'all's
thank you.
greetings, salutations from India.
Hello.
He said he thinks y'all ladies are fabulous, and he
Thank
said
you.
if you don't want to ask this question, you don't have to. And it took a little while for him to get it out because I guess his Indian's not as good as my English.
Well,
But
thank
anyway,
you for listening. My God, my
so
goodness, it's pretty early for you.
he says in his group, empaths are a common thing in his the religious group that he's in. He said, but sometimes they have issues with some of the people how they bring their children into this. Now, me personally, I left my son out of everything I did. So I told him, if you want to get into this, you know where I live. You can go look on my online. Everything your daddy says. You hear me talk all the time. So I didn't, and y'all can answer this if you don't have to, if you don't want to. I did it in the way that I felt it. Same thing with religion with him. I said, I'm gonna let you make up your own mind about this. I'm not going to indoctrinate you into something. It's entirely which way. And if you really want to know what I do, you know where I'm at. You can ask me anytime you want. And so, that's it. And I've talked a little bit about psychic abilities with him because I know he's empathic at the very least. He's probably telepathic, but he's definitely empathic. And so a little bit, but I did not feel actually comfortable talking with him about it. That's me personally. Now, y'all are next. So if you don't want to answer, just say pass and we'll move on to something else. Because I know
Mm.
y'all both have children, but it's a personal question.
My kids are very gifted. um, I actually tried to shut down. I had nothing to do with my abilities. I believe that raising children, and only because I grew up with something malevolent, I didn't like the mix of the two. So I really tried to avoid it. What I didn't bank on was the fact that they were seeing. This was before I got involved in the paranormal. So I realized I had to be pretty much on top of everything, and I would answer questions. My daughter, again, extremely gifted. She did some filming with me a little bit. All my kids to a degree have explored it. My middle son, extremely gifted. Then he became a jock and just didn't want anything to do with it. He's like, yeah, I don't do that anymore. But now he's so, enlightened and awakened even more so. So his abilities are where they should be. My youngest son, who will always tell you, no, I don't have anything, very gifted. And he's filmed and worked with me many, many times. And, he's probably had more ET experiences than paranormal. But I've always been very open. If they came to me to ask questions, I would answer. My son did not get to work with me until he was 18. That was it. That was the rule.
That's a good rule.
Yeah.
Don't want to influence them too much. Amelia?
I'm with Michelle Light. She knows this as that I never had anything to do with it because of my daughter to keep her protected. In fact, for the longest time, the reason why I went by my maiden name was to keep her protected when I was doing cold cases and missing children. Um, yeah, she's gifted. She doesn't like it, and that's fine. I've always told her that if she knows how to ground, she knows how to protect herself. But I've always told her that if she ever was interested in moving forward or understanding more, to come to me and I would talk to her and guide her through it. But I don't believe that she will. She's very much afraid. And my niece, who's in the chat room, who's gifted, Jessica, is very afraid. And I've always said to her, you have little ones, stay out of it. And that includes horror films. That includes anything to do with paranormal, anything that'll open up your mind, or have you, even when you have a nightmare, you don't know if you're having that nightmare, if you're actually having that experience with an entity. So it's very important. My daughter, sadly, she gets knocked on a lot like I used to. It comes to her and she doesn't want it. So it's tough, but I don't want it for her if she doesn't want it. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not a life you want for them. It's a tough one.
It is, and it's a scary one. Now we got time for one more question. This was a tough one that just came out of the chat room. Rosie put it in. She wants to know, how do your husbands fit in? This is another question. If you want to pass, you can pass.
Wow. Yeah.
my ex-husband actually
there you go. That answers that one.
He was a pretty good sport for the most part. You know, I would get comments. You know, I'd wake up and see something, you know, in the house, and he'd be just like, "Stop bringing your work home," you know, things like that. Or, you know, the phone would ring and there'd be something growling on the other side, and he would just sit there calmly and go, "It's for you," you know. He was, you know, with all of his faults, you know, he did get put through the ringer with that sort of thing, and he was proud in some ways, and in other ways, I think he was very scared. I remember he really like peeved me off one night. And I guess something was walking around the bed, and he was, "Did you send that to me while I was trying to sleep?" I'm like, as much as I would like to take the credit for that one, I cannot. So, you know,
I wish I thought of that.
I wish I'd have thought of it though. But, you know, so, you know, like I think Wayne, you know, my bestie tends to handle that a lot more, but this house is haunted. So, you know, he's worked with me. I've had a lot of people around me who understand it and have done a lot better, but not all husbands are good at this.
It's not easy. I remember
not in my type of thing anyway.
I've had 3 incidences with him. The first one was something happened in front of him, and I heard, "You promised me you wouldn't do this," which I did. I said, right. I will never bring it into the house before we got married. I will never practice it. I won't study it, but I did. I still did. I just hid a lot of things. Yeah, we didn't have internet then, so there was a lot of books that went on the back of the bookcase. I couldn't help myself. I really couldn't help myself.
It's your calling.
Yeah, but then when I started with see, it's a culture thing too, right? Old school Italian, it's a little different. When I started with the missing children, it took over me. Like it just took over my entire life. I wasn't sleeping. I was working mostly at night. And then I had a daughter I had to get to school and pick up for lunch and cook and clean my house. And, you know, I cook every day. Like it was just really interfering with my life. And that put a lot of stress on both of us. It was really, really touch and go for a long time. Now it's different. I think just 28 years later, you kind of just get used to it. I'll get jokes now. Where'd you guys go last night with Michelle? Because there's something going on downstairs. The alarm keeps going on and I'm not in front of it. And I'm like, oh, okay, we'll check that. You know, like, I'll check that. Just give me a minute.
Call a repairman. It ain't nothing else. Call a repairman.
It's a different, well, it wasn't a repair. It wasn't a repairman wasn't needed because it was me. But sometimes I project too, and I don't know. So the scariest thing would have been when he came out of the shower and looked at me and said, "What did you and Michelle do last night?" And I'm like, "What?" And he had his robe on and he opened it and he had 3 scratches going down from the he's like, all I did was feel it, and I ran out of the shower and went in the mirror, and I'm like, well, welcome to my world. Oh shit. Right.
Shouldn't have
So
pissed me off.
yeah.
That's really tough. It's true, but you never
It's
know when
really
something
hard.
sneaks in.
It's really hard because he's not into it at all. He's not. It's not a believer. He's just afraid. He's very much afraid of
Which is
what he can't
normal.
see, and I think it's a guy thing too, right? You can't protect your family against something you can't see.
It's a tough
Thank
thing.
you, Rosie loves learning. I love your name. um, I love the name Rosie.
Good question too, Rosie.
It was a really good question, but it's so hard to answer it just one way. I'll never forget someone who was in our friend group. Her husband had passed away, and she had asked me to connect with him. And I don't normally do that kind of thing. I don't do readings, but she was a very young widow. She wasn't even 42. And I went over, and his brother, who's alive, happened to come over and wasn't too impressed with me being there because obviously I must have been very accurate, just saying in case you're listening. Said something to my husband about I shouldn't be there and I shouldn't have done whatever I did. And he defended me, and I was shocked. I'll just say that shocked me because I've never seen that before. So I was happy about that.
It's nice. And I
Yeah.
guess stuff grows on you after a while. I was really lucky because Linda knew far more about it than I did when I met her.
Yeah.
I was 20. Jesus, I was 20. And God, was it that long ago? Woman, God damn. Anyway, well, she was big into witchcraft and a lot of stuff. And I used to give her shit about it all the time. I was like, just whacking crazy. Because I was into other things at the time, which I'm not going to talk about tonight, but I was into a lot of weird stuff when I was young. And then I met a guy. I was in a bar in New Orleans, getting drunk as hell with two friends of mine. And this guy came over to me. He's about 6'2", kind of creepy looking, looked like somebody out of the Addams Family. And he said, I had a calling for you. Is your name Joe? I said, yeah. He said, your last name is M. He's like, M-O-N. He said, I can't pronounce it, but I can see it clearly. And he spelled it. I was like, and I said, who are you? He said, I'm Aleister Crowley's great-grandson. And I didn't know who he was. I really didn't. I had no idea who Aleister Crowley was. I was 20 years old. What the hell did I know? I was home on leave and he said, no, you know. He said, because you know from what you were doing when you were practicing the arts across the lake. Nobody knew I was doing that, not even my wife at the time. I was like, okay.
Wow.
So I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you my pager number because we didn't have cell phones back then. And I said, you can page me and we can talk. And Linda was studying with Gavin and Yvonne at the time from up in, I think it was Connecticut somewhere. And he called me up and he said, I know this is what you learned with the group you were with across the lake, which was dark arts. And we got into heavy stuff. And I was like, wow, that is. He said, now I'm going to teach you what magic is really for and how it's used. I was like, really? And he taught me a lot of stuff that helped me in a lot of ways throughout my life. But still, he taught me a lot. Stuff that, you could use to really screw with people too. But he taught me all of that. Linda learned all of that. We got together, learned all that. And then through life, of course, learned stuff like voice stress analysis, facial recognition, body language, lots of other stuff. And then I realized at 33 that I didn't need any of it. I could do it all through simple thought. I was amazed. I mean, for myself, I was amazed because I didn't know. I mean, I gave up tarot readings. A friend of mine said, "You want the best readers I ever met?" I said, "I don't need it anymore." I said, "Just come here." And I tell him like the next 6 weeks. He's like, I don't believe it. And then he called me back 6 months. You need to do it again. I said, it's $200 this time. He's like, what? I said, yeah, it's $200 this time. And which I never really charged anybody, but still.
No, but that's how you get rid of the crazies. I'm just saying.
It is how you get rid of the crazies. That's true.
Yeah.
But it was a strange thing altogether. And she was doing light work and I was doing dark work and we were married with a kid and we were worried because, he was this big at the time. He was in the house. So we were always doing protection over his little scrawny ass. Well, he wasn't scrawny, but still. And he was a terror. I told her one night, I said, no, if Satan took this kid, he'd give it back to him the next week. I'm like, shit. I said, God ain't taking him anytime soon. That's for sure, man. You got to worry about that. And I said, I'm telling you, Satan's going to say, keep that son of a bitch. We don't want him nowhere around here. But it was a strange time. See, that's why we were asking these questions, just because I noticed, we had a lot of good questions coming yesterday. It's quite a you coming tonight. I'm amazed. This
Wow.
guy from India, he's a yogi and writes to
Thank
y'all.
you all. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
really been
Wow.
pleasure.
immensely enjoyed the show. We got about 2 minutes because we started a little late. Let me think what I could get to make y'all blush. Oh no, we won't do that tonight.
But
We'll save that to another night. We'll save that for another night. The
Oh no,
husband
we're not
question was
doing this
just about.
again.
Oh yes, we just were getting warmed up tonight. I was getting y'all
uh-oh.
real
Uh-oh.
hard questions. And,
Have to do this like a quarterly thing.
it's actually
Too much.
for y'all to. It's I can. It's you're going to set a record tonight. But anyway,
Wow.
when I announced this was going to happen the way it was going to happen, a lot of people wrote in a lot of questions. And even though we were picking about the pervert questions, there was a lot of personal questions. Which y'all addressed 3 or 4 tonight were quite personal questions. And a couple of people said they thought Amelia was going to cry, and then somebody said they thought I was going to cry. It's like, when
Michelle's
was that?
the only one that's ever made me cry
And
on
uh,
an
and uh,
interview.
and I
In
was
a
like,
good way, in a good way, in a good way, not a
it's,
bad way.
but I will tell y'all
Yeah.
this because this is something somebody asked me personally the other day. Have I ever cried when I was dealing with somebody? And I said the only time anybody ever made me cry, I said I was at my very first big UFO conference. I'd been doing a lot of radio and a lot of other stuff. And I was standing in the line, and this lady just comes up, throws her arms around me, starts screaming, "You saved my life! You saved my life!" Just tears streaming. I said, "Well, I guess we're both crying now." it was ridiculous, and but it made me feel really good. And
It's a
since
very
then,
humbling
it is,
experience, isn't
it
it, when
is.
someone says that to you?
And somebody
Wow.
asked me just the other day, "Have I gotten tired of it?" I said, "Not yet." And I said, I don't get out in the public as much as I used to because COVID's been around for 2 years now. I said, still, it's nice to know that people actually care when you help them. They actually remember that you actually did. That always freaks me out a little bit. But so before we go,
Oh, I cry at the drop
okay,
of a pin.
what I don't.
I do.
I haven't. Anyway, we'll get into that another night. But um, Amelia, if you could pick one place that you really, really, really wanted to go, where would it be, and why?
Oh, I have two. You mean like a country
Doesn't
or a
matter. It could be
dimension?
anything. Anywhere that you think that you could possibly get to, whatever means. Where would you want to go, and why would you
Oh,
want to go there?
see, and I have two. I
Can't
have
have nothing to
both.
do with food.
No, no. Well, both places. Well, one country has amazing food. The other country, I think I'd come back anorexic. Um, I want to go to the south of France. I really want to
I
go to
could
the
see
It's
south
that.
of
beautiful.
France.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I could see that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to go there. And I know no cooking, but I do want to learn. I want to live their culture, their life, and I do want to be in the countryside because I want to live the way they do. I want to experience the cheese making. I want to experience the bread making. That's all for me. That is so therapeutic, and I love to cook because that's how I show love, and it just calms me, So yeah, it would be there, and of course Scotland. I've always wanted to be there, but
Oh, it's so
Scotland, I'd starve.
beautiful.
Sorry, Scotties, but I'd starve
Yeah.
there. But yeah, I would. South of France would have to be the place that calls me most at my heart.
It's beautiful. I've
Now,
been
for
fortunate
for
to do it.
Michelle, this is a little different of a question because I know you've done a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
was gonna
travel.
say is I want to be
You've
everywhere.
done a lot of traveling over the years. So, out of all the places you've been, which one left you feeling the most ominous after you left it?
That's hard because it's like I said earlier, every location I've been to are places that I felt drawn to for different reasons. To me, the south of France it really is a place like no other. It hits on a lot of my lineage, and it's special. It's very different than northern France, for example. Scotland, England, Egypt, Greece, Germany, and
Romania.
Romania was also very different because it's like time has stood still in many parts of it. Like it's not uncommon to go into and see these houses with straw roofs,
I'm
and
surprised you wasn't arrested for trying to dig up Vlad, but anyway, go ahead.
that's because Vlad isn't where everybody thinks he is. Let me tell you what. And I don't have to
But
go to
don't
him. He
don't
just
think she
comes to
didn't
me.
dig up
I
dirt
know. I seen his
anywhere
eyes
though.
moving behind him. Doesn't count.
He comes to me. I don't need to go dig him up. But no, it's hard to choose just one because every place I've been to, I have a love for. It's the best way I can probably put it. Home is where the heart is where home is, where my family is, and ultimately, that's where I stay.
Well, guys and girls, we were actually past the time we're supposed to be on. So, properly, I will let Amelia or Michelle take y'all out because I'm only the guest host. I'm the spooky host tonight.
I
Jessica, nice having you on. Nice having everybody in the room. Nice to see such a big YouTube group watching tonight. I'm very impressed with
Love
thank
all
you
the
you.
guys.
Love you,
Yeah,
impressed with all the
Jessica.
questions
thank
tonight. Yeah, I
you.
know. Bill hit me with that message just now. Yeah, we still got like 10 or 12 questions left, but we'll save that for
Thank you, Joe, for interviewing them. Is he giving you something? Just,
I know. It's like I
oh, I
know.
love her. It's my
yeah.
niece.
But she
Okay.
she sent me something the other day, so I said I'll ask some questions for you. One question she's
What?
no,
My
I'm just teasing.
niece? No.
Look at me. He's like, wait, what? Wait,
she,
what?
she would just ask me. I talk to her
Mm-mm-mm.
every day. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so I'm going to sign us off and thank you everybody for participating in the show tonight. Huge thank you to Joe for not, embarrassing us or asking us questions that were like really bad. It left us going, so thank you for that. Big thank you to Folgers Coffee for sponsoring tonight's segment and all of our segments. We love you. We hope that we do you proud because we certainly are proud to have you as our sponsor. We're very possessive about that too, just so you know. So
We're keeping
please,
you.
we are. Oh yes. So please remember to stop by the UFO Paranormal Radio YouTube channel, International Public Radio, and the other one. It's just eluding me at the moment. Go show us some love over in the Outer Realm on Facebook. And if you want to drop us a line, the Outer Realm contact at gmail.com. The Outer Realm contact at gmail.com is the best way. Tomorrow night, we do welcome back Mr. Preston Dennett. And he's honestly, he is one of our favorite guests. He is just so sweet. And he's got a new book out. And
Yay.
next month, we're actually going to be bringing in one of those stories, and it's going to be freaking mind blowing.
Oh
And you're
my
not going
gosh.
to want to miss it. I know. So until then, myself, Joe, and Amelia wish you all a good evening. And thank you for tuning in.
dun, dun, dun.